Nexus open and exposed, and Envy are going to take it down and take down Immortals.
I think a lot of people like disregard Envy a lot because of the record.
But look at how low his health bar is. He's dead. That's a kill for Seraph, an easy 1v1.
Obviously, TSM is like their #1, so they're obviously a good team.
And Dignitas has just jumped into the ring with TSM and does not look like they're going to make it out alive.
I don't think we're going to underestimate Envy at all.
Everyone of us is going to have a lot of respect for him, especially the jungler's pretty good.
Well, he's going to get snared up. There's the stun from Seraph as well. Absolutely massive play. Huge first blood for Lyra.
We just have to go in, play our best, I think. Just play what we know, not try and do their style.
Envy, who were in dead last, now in 9th, and are literally a week away from reaching playoffs.
Welcome back to Week 7 of the North American League Championship Series. Saturday afternoon here live in Los Angeles, California. Beaming out to you from our studios. Plenty of fans packed the arena today. TSM making their way into the studio earlier, followed by Dignitas, of course, Stixxay and Afro Moose setting up on stage, getting ready for battle. Big Smithy as well, Ninja and Seraph. They're going to be doing the same on the flip side of the arena. Hello, everyone. I am James Patterson, joined, as always, by our Saturday special, Mark Zimmerman and William Scarley. How you guys doing today?
What are we, like a special at a diner?
Yes.
Saturday.
Just what I want to
special.
order for my Saturday brunch, a little Mark Z and Scar. How you guys doing? How you doing over there?
Feeling quite expensive. I hope you get brought a lot of money.
I want
We're the
endless-
expensive
So I get
special.
the bottomless
discount cheap
mimosas
pancake,
and some
yeah.
French toast.
Yeah, we're the
please.
high class.
All right, let's begin with a look at our matches for the day. First on NALCS 1, we have Darshan and Counterlogic Gaming versus Someday and Team Dignitas. After that, FlyQuest hope to break a 3-match losing streak against Immortals. If you tune in over on NALCS 2, you'll catch Team Envy looking to upset TSM in the Battle Theater, and you can also catch Phoenix 1 squaring off against Echo Fox later in the day. Yesterday, we saw the debut of Doublelift on the Liquid roster. I want to get your thoughts on his first match back in the North American LCS.
I think, generally speaking, he looked fine. Obviously, there were some issues with that Draven pick, but he played a lot of team fights pretty well over the course of the game. He did get a nice snipe on the Sneaky, and then the big thing was, in the team fights, he actually played the Jhin extremely well. I think he had a couple fights where he was able to snipe out the Ahri, who was ulting around, stuff like that. But it wasn't enough because the big problems on CL are more their decision-making.
Yeah, like for me, it wasn't really a question of his mechanics. Like I think that translates pretty well from like solo queue play to competitive play. The question is, for me is how he works within the team, and that's something that's not really fixable within the 1, 2, or 3 days that he's been on Team Liquid so far.
Right, they haven't had much time to work to begin with. Along with that, they're going up against the #1 team in Cloud9 for their first match with him on the roster. Of course, they'll be playing tomorrow against Envy, a much more winnable match for them probably, and something that they'll be looking to pick up here.
Right, they so showed, especially in that first game when they made a ton of kills around the map early on, that they were still like mechanically fine players. It was just that like they didn't expand that lead at all, which is what we wanted to see. It was a little disheartening to see that, but against Envy, another early game team that tends to drop off later in the game with their shot calling, it's a much more even matchup.
Right, they'll have a few more allowances. Another player who moved around in the roster shuffle was Stun. He had a much better debut in getting the win here with Phoenix 1 last night.
Yeah, I don't think Stunts is an interesting player. He debuted on Dignitas. He's now here on P1. I think that he played relatively well throughout the week. The biggest thing is he didn't die much. He was able to impact the map. Honestly, if you kind of replace his portrait with Adrian, I think they kind of fulfilled similar duties, especially in team fights. And in laning, he did passable. I don't think he makes super big mistakes. I think he just does his job well.
And the big thing, though, was in that one first game that he played was against Mordekaiser Maokai, which probably is not a bot lane that many people are used to playing against, on top of the fact that it doesn't seem particularly strong. So obviously a little bit easier of a lane matchup in that first game. And then the second game did play pretty well.
Right, so we're still going to need some more evidence before we can really say, you know, what we're feeling about Stunt and his addition to the Phoenix 1 roster. Time now to pull up the standings, see how close the teams are in the playoff picture. Phoenix 1 took 3rd last night with their win over FlyQuest, but yesterday Cloud9 were the first team to secure a spot in the 2017 spring playoffs, and TSM could be the second today. But I want to take a look at the bottom half of the standings and that race for the final playoff spot. So gentlemen, here we go, 6th through 10th. Immortals currently holding 6th due to game record over Echo Fox, although tied in total match score. Looking at these, though, I want to know who exactly is your dark horse. Who's the team you're looking to make some moves here in the latter couple weeks of the split, making a run for that 6th place spot?
Right, and dark horse meaning unlikely to make it, but could, because obviously I think a lot of us would say Echo Fox. I still think Echo Fox is most likely to be the last team into the playoff picture, but if I have to pick one that won't likely do it, I think I'd take Dignitas. I think I've seen enough out of them in recent weeks that assuming a couple things break their way in the standings, they could sneak in. I think, Someday's still a beast. They have a very reactive play style. If teams play sloppy against them, I think they can punish it, and there's a chance that happens enough times in this last third of the season that they climb into 6th.
And I want to choose TL, but they're so far away from 6th place. They're 2.5 games away.
With 5 games to play.
Exactly. And so I feel like it's almost an impassable boundary, even if they were a top 3 team in the league. So I also kind of want to go with Echo Fox, but I can't pick them.
Too easy.
Oh, you already chose Dignitas, so I think maybe there's a chance for Envy to turn it up, but really that just depends on how they transition, because I think Lyra has really shown that he's super good, and being able to work around someone who's like really can set you up for a good early game, like teams like Echo Fox have been able to run with that to be able to create better leads. But they don't have kind of the cornerstone in Froggen that Ninja is.
And when it comes to Envy, we heard in the video there at the beginning of the day, a lot of teams do walk into the matchup against Envy, or have in the past, kind of underestimating them, and that can backfire. However, Bjergsen with the confidence moving into today's matchup by saying we are definitely not going to underestimate them today. It's going to be a tough first match on their way to qualifying for playoffs if they're going to do it here against TSM today.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about how the league has a lot stronger bottom teams. I mean, a player of Lyra's caliber is not something we're used to seeing on the kind of last place teams in the LCS. So I think in that sense, it is a little bit harder of a matchup than some of the top teams are used to facing against the bottom tier LCS team.
Right. Well, I'm going to extend the same question to you guys at home. Who do you think is the dark horse team that will secure a playoff spot? And tell us why. Send your answers to @LolEsport, and Mark Scar and I will discuss them throughout the day, if they're good enough, that is. It's time now to send it to the casters to kick off the matches, though. Enjoy.
Thanks, Dash. Hello, I'm Julian Patriot-Car, and taking time out of his busy schedule to cast alongside me is Isaac Azale Cummings-Bentley.
You must feel so blessed.
I certainly do. We're getting ready for our first series as Envy take on TSM. Now, we have seen some growth from Envy, but that doesn't change the fact that they have an uphill battle today against TSM.
Yeah, they definitely do. Thankfully for Envy, some of their strengths align pretty well with TSM's weaknesses. Their early game has been fantastic. That has been one of the slower parts of the game for TSM, although they are improving. And a lot of this comes off of the back of Lyra, who's shown in the last few weeks that he really can carry when Envy needs it.
Well, he's going to need it against Svenskeren today, who is one of the pillars of that TSM Triforce there on the top side. We have been giving a lot of praise lately.
Yeah, Sven, Haunter, Bjergsen, these guys have been showing up massively for the team. And Svenskeren not only camps top lane more than anyone else in the jungle, but also camps mid lane more than anyone else in the league as well. So, I mean, he's spending more time camping for his solos, and it is paying off because Haunter has been unlocked and really shown up as a big carry for the team. He's been super confident and smashing, even talking about how he needs to call for more resources and has been able to do that. But I think one of the biggest changes for TSM has actually just been how solid their bot lane has looked from the start of the season till now. They're no longer exploitable. The top half of the map is dominant. They look like, to me, the best team in the league.
Certainly do, but despite being the favorite in this series, Svenskeren says TSM aren't taking Envy for granted.
So going up against Envy, I think a lot of people disregard Envy a lot because of the record, right? But we actually scrimped them a lot, and I feel like they're pretty good in scrims. So coming into the game, I think every one of us is going to have a lot of respect for them, especially the jungle is pretty good. So yeah, we're not going to disregard them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can't. Lyra has had such good early games, and Envy as a whole, it has been their story all year long. They get early leads, they can't convert into wins, and that is what they're trying to work on.
We'll see if they can work on it here, but it's time for our starting lineups. We'll kick it off on the blue side with Team Envy. Gonna need to really flex those early game muscles today if they can take out the win. In the top lane, Seraph, their star jungler Lyra, mid lane Ninja, bot laner Apollo, support Hakuho, and coach Dylan Falco.
And loading onto the red side today, their opponents are TSM. In the top lane, Haunter. In the jungle, Svenskeren. Mid lane, Bjergsen. Bot lane, Wild Turtle. Support Biofrost and Coach Park.
I think we, as always, will learn a lot about the teams as we move into our first champ select for the series. But I kind of like the bite from Hakuho there. He said at the top of the day in the tease that, you know what? I just feel like we have to do our own thing and kind of hope that's good enough, because they know trying to play like TSM or trying to emulate their style is not going to work trying to play such a strong team.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all. And I think in general, even if you are near the top of the league, you should play your own style and be confident in that. Otherwise, you just end up as a budget version of the team you're trying to emulate. So you have to play to your own strengths, and Envy knows that.
And I think we've seen a lot of that in 7.4 as well. We will, of course, have shifts next week, but last few times with Varus, we still see a lot of grazers. A ton of changes in 7.5, but I think if Envy are ever going to have a time with a big open metagame that they are aware with, where they can pick something strong and try and steal more early, this is a good place to start here in champs like Ashe. Rai is already banned for Envy, and TSM banning everyone's most hated marksman, at least for me. Varus is off the table.
Yeah, Varus is gone. It's pretty much the perma red side ban. The Ashe ban is pretty interesting here. You know, you can be looking at it like Envy says, okay, we want the only utility marksman. This will either force TSM to ban Jhin or be willing to give that up. But I think in this case, it's not really that big of a deal because people are very happy to play Ezreal these days.
Yep, certainly Ezreal's a staple bot laner for a ton of different players. Both Apollo and Total have a lot of experience, so they'll be comfortable there. I mean, Apollo has also gone back to things like Ezreal, like Caitlyn in recent games, so maybe it's just trying to narrow the pool a little to make some of those picks a bit better. Rengar banned for Envy though, TSM with LeBlanc, so standard stuff so far, and TSM probably no surprises for the final ban.
Yeah, there certainly are other options that you can be doing too. I mean, if you want to give over the Jhin and then pick Sivir, people have seen Sivir as a pretty solid lane matchup against that Jhin because you can push in so heavily. So that is something that Apollo could go to, but Malzahar getting taken off the table. Wow, quick Rumble.
Yeah, pretty much
in.
Insta-lock there from Seraph, who's seen a number of Rumble bans. Actually, he's really been creeping up the tier list for a lot of top laners by the looks of things. But Rumble's pretty good. We'll see if TSM want to take maybe that Jace away, because we've seen that pad a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jace mid, pretty strong. I also think that with Camille on the table, that's actually a pretty nice matchup in the top lane. We've seen Camille go up against those Rumbles, be very successful, and Haunts are going to lock that in. I like this choice. If you go onto a tank in this situation, you're essentially seeding lane.
Yep.
Whereas Camille can actually build things like an early Hexstring or going to Triforce, and you can match up quite well against the Rumble and take him down.
Certainly more of a bruiser-style champion, so I think Haunts are correctly matching more of a carry role here, but Haunts' Rumble has also looked very good, so I can kind of see the logic for Envy wanting to take it away. But even just with these early picks, it could be a pretty bloody game, given that we have damage loaded into the top side. Ooh. But Karma going to mix it up, as that's an insta-lock Ziggs for Envy.
They are
and there's Jace.
Fast. Oh my God, Envy. I mean, they're saying they're coming here with a plan, right? They are not being reactive. These are pre-planned picks. They are locking them in very quickly. So it is going to be Ziggs bot. It should be the Jace mid, Rumble top. We already have seen a lot shown here. TSM can go a different way. They don't have to actually lock in and match up in those lanes. They could go for their jungle and really try to target Lyra in the jungle pool. I think that would make quite a bit of sense when you say that Graves is still on the table, but they're not willing to get pinched out in the marksman role anymore. Okay.
You're actually taking Ezreal. I mean, it's a very safe pick here, so maybe TSM worried about what the second phase of this draft looks like for Envy, given that they clearly have a plan.
Yeah, I mean, there certainly there is the ability to get focused down there, and that can be scary, but I think that Caitlyn, Ezreal, even Sivir, all those are very reasonable, and there are only 2 bans there. Whereas if Lyra is the big threat of the team, I prefer seeing someone like him get focused, get Svenskeren a big jungle advantage, and then target Lyra in the pick and ban, knock him down a couple tiers.
Well, I mean, we've actually had jungle fall very far down, so that's where TSM are starting. Graves is their first ban here in Phase 2. R is the answer for Envy, so starting to target Bjergsen. I feel like a lot of people want to go after some of these top-tier mid laners, but it's very difficult given how many different mid lane champions you can play.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think that's been something that really has shaken up the league a bit, is the fact that so many of these players are getting such big champion pools that at the start of the year it was very much about targeting the unpicked roles, whereas sometimes people are just saying it doesn't actually matter if we target this guy, he has too many champions, so only pick out those champions that are very problematic for what we already have.
Yeah, and again, it's more about crafting your own composition, furthering your game plan, as Envy going to line up a final ban here. Lulu was actually TSM's second, so a support ban's a bit of a pivot, but there's a Syndra ban for Envy. So taking the strong blind pick mid laners away from Bjergsen makes sense to me. They've also already got a Jace most likely, unless they want to get really funky with the draft, but looks like Sven's going to take Elise here. And again, trying to take some champions away from Lyra.
Yeah, and there's a quick Elise pick there. Lee Sin, likely the response for Lyra. He has been playing it all year long, very strong on this champion, so we'll be relatively happy there. If you look at the overall jungle tier list, most people would say Elise is certainly quite a bit higher. But Lee Sin is always someone who has the playmaking ability if you're good enough.
And it looks like Brom's going to round things up for Envy. So really just wanted 3 good carries, I suppose. So pick their solo laners, or 2 solo laners plus AD carry nice and quickly. Have rounded out nicely with a good support and a strong early game jungler for Lyra. Now it's just a matter of what does Bjergsen want. He looks like the one with a pick to go.
And he will be able to get a nice matchup for himself. You could see something like Orianna, very standard, a relatively safe pick in general, and I think it does work pretty well.
Hey.
Oh, baby.
All right, I like this a little bit more. Orianna,
I like this a lot a bit more.
Orianna not exciting versus Jace. Kind of get bullied and pressured with all the early game damage Jace does. Bjergsen says instead, all right, you want to play a strong early game laner? I'll give you a strong early game laner.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that he's going to get bullied and pushed in harder than he would have on the Orianna. That said, he can move around the map and make plays elsewhere, and he also will have the all-in potential, obviously. But anytime you're in like a melee matchup against a range guy like this, you can expect Jace to be walking forward, autoing you out, pushing you in, and should be able to establish an early game lead for himself unless Svenskeren can kind of intervene.
Yeah, Jace certainly a tough matchup for most mid laners. I think it's part of why it was a good early pick for Envy. Like I said, people have fallen into the trap many times, particularly last week. I know we covered CLG's game where they drafted maybe too much attack damage, where if you get caught with Jace, Graves, and then a million other ADs, you run into problems. Early pick Rumble. TSM didn't want to take Jace early. So, I mean, we said Envy's plan was going to be have a strong early game. They've certainly picked to have a very good early game. Now it's just a matter of making it work on the Rift.
Yeah, they really have. That Ziggs in the bot lane can take down turrets so quickly if he gets any alone time. So there may be a lot of focus there, but honestly, all of these lanes can be very swingy. They're very snowballable lanes. It's where are the junglers going to go? Where do you focus? Because if Camille gets head, that lane can be over. Same can be said for Jace or Talon, and same can be said for Ziggs with that pushing power in the bot lane.
Yeah, and I think for the TSM side, if we've been looking at their top half to really provide a lot of the initiative for TSM, it's been nice to see that, you know what, they are going to get things started. I mean, like you said, they can have players in any section of the map there, and they've got a really stable bottom lane to kind of just do what Turtle and Bio have done all season and just kind of let things go to mid-game and then take over from there with the rest of the team.
Yep, exactly. Definitely expecting them to play safe, but at the same time, Bjergsen has a powerful ability to roam around the map, and if the Ziggs and Braum are pushing up, they certainly could get roamed on by the Talon, but I'm not expecting the lane to go that way. And both these compositions are also very tank-light. I mean, yes, Lee Sin can build into tanky. Braum is kind of a semi-tank as the support. There's not a lot of tankiness here from either team. There's no pure tanks. And TSM's composition is very heavily weighted towards physical damage.
Yep.
Obviously, the Elise does kind of mix that up, but it's not really a big deal when you're not going up against a team that's going to have like a Maokai or whatever who will become unkillable later. Yeah,
we'll have to see how it works out, because certainly a fun draft to kick things off here. I think both teams getting a lot of what they want, and Envy, it is good to see them coming with a very clear plan. Because, I mean, they picked their first 3 picks in what? Less than 10 seconds total, I think? So clearly have an idea of what they want to do, but we're out in a Summoner's Rift now. We've had a couple of scuffles here and there. Bjergsen did get some poke onto Ninja, but been a pretty standard looking level 1. Again, everyone wants to kind of keep tabs on the Raptor camp. There is a ward over there for Envy on TSM side, but Fen going to start there anyway with a bit of help from Hornso.
And TSM critically didn't actually get a return ward, so they don't really know where Lyra is starting. They may be able to infer it based on when Envy's bottom lane does arrive. But they're actually giving a pretty good leash here at the red buff. That's actually this is going to be a smiteless leash. So we may see a little bit of cheese here from Lyra if he wants to go for it. Could look to do a very early level 2 gank or try to go buff to buff and then invade. He has some options here, but this is something to keep track of.
Well, definitely running straight into that blue side jungle, so we'll keep tabs on Lyra in a second. 2v2 though, has started a Firefrost and Wild Turtle kind of getting to the wave first because of the help that Envy did want to give their jungler, so kind of early pressure advantage is in TSM's side right now.
And I mean, Karma versus Braum, you're generally going to be able to push in regardless of what happens. Biofrost will have that matchup advantage, and despite the Ziggs pushing power, when you pair it with a melee support, you're kind of losing some of that, right? So it does seem like you can say, oh, well, it's shoring up Braum's weaknesses, but at the same time, you're not emphasizing Ziggs' strengths. So it's kind of a hit and miss there.
Yeah, kind of splitting the strengths you've got there as Bjergsen does dash in. That's where Talon gets very problematic. Level 2 is particularly good for the Assassin. So Ninja is going to have to play a little safe. As Hornso, good stun there onto Seraph. Actually, there's a wave behind him as well. So just going to walk at Seraph, deal some good damage, and back away once his wave joins him.
You really need to see Ninja returning autos, though, when Bjergsen jumps in like that. There wasn't even a single auto shot back. And if you're caught kind of sleeping while you are shooting the minions, they're shooting you, you can't really have that at the pro level, or people will get too much of that advantage. And here comes that play that they were trying to set up. Lyra already to the top side. They're looking for the dive on Haunter.
It's another level 3 dive. Haunter does get the passive up there. Stuns on a Seraph. Big play from Haunter. Might even be a kill in his first blood to the top lane.
I mean, Haunter was full health. What are they thinking with these dives? We've seen so many of these overforced top lane dives. Maybe if Camille was still level 2, but he hits level 3, and that is an easy kill. Haunter didn't even have to flash, and he gets first blood.
Well, Svenskeren flashes as well, looking for Lyra, but doesn't quite hit him with the cocoon. Level 4 now, though, for the Elise. Lyra only 3, and Sven's going to try and take some of this jungle away.
Yeah, Sven now can bully him out. He has that advantage. He has his smite available to do some counter jungling, and honestly, this is so tough for Seraph at this point, but I just don't even see, like, in what world does this work, right? He's already level 3, he's already full health, Seraph is tanking it up, but he can't take these shots, and Lyra, if he stayed around, would have just gone 2. I mean, you blow the summoner and you get the kill. This was just so poorly done by Envy.
Yeah, it feels like as soon as you see the level 2, you have to back away. And now TSM are just going to continue to punish this lane. Seraph, he's got no flash. He does have teleport, but Bjergsen's already over the wall. Sven's behind him, so they're going to try and get the kill. Exhaust is down. Cocoon's going to miss. Good dodge there from Seraph, but they're just going to go all in for it. Haunter, huge flash stun after the tether.
Ouch. We talked about the snowball, and it's going to be rolling here. Thankfully, Seraph didn't TP back into die, so he will be able to collect some of this experience, and it's not a complete disaster, but still a great start on the top side for TSM. And this really just felt like both in pick and ban plus this path was super pre-planned from Envy, and they're like, okay, Seraph, you're going to get Camille real low, then we're going to come top and we're going to kill him. But he wasn't really low. It didn't work, and they're able to run it back as Seraph had to blow his flash. Is able to sidestep it, but it just doesn't matter. There's 3 members here that can easily juggle that turret aggro and take him down.
That was a super long-range hook shot as well from Haunter, so impressive stuff from TSM. Again, that trio that's been just picking up a lot of steam lately. Still looking like they're on form. 2 quick kills for TSM. They're up pretty much 1,000 gold at the end of it as well, and all of Envy's early game stats going to start to take a dip.
Yeah, and on the bot side, they're losing as well. It's not like they're giving anything up down here because they've had Envy shoved in the whole time, right? But Lyra has been focusing on the top side, so while Turtle and Biofrost have been able to bully, have been able to carve themselves out a pretty nice little advantage, and Karma plus Ezreal is an extremely safe lane, even if they do get attacked.
Yeah, pretty frustrating as well. Apollo continually taking poke, Total even weaving autos into Hakuo, because again, Melee Braum has to stand really close to try and help Apollo CS.
And this is kind of why we've seen Aphromoo actually go for coin even in some of these matchups, but Lyra has set up a counter gank. They are looking for their turn.
Oh, he actually stunned Lyra, but Svenskeren's here as well. Going to start off a 2v2. Seraph, I don't think he's got quite enough for this. Lyra looking to finish it off, does flash on a Haunter, and Seraph burns him down. Svenskeren now looking for the Draco, but Bjergsen's roaming up as well. Sven's going to have to outplay this for a little longer because Ninja's behind Bjerg also.
That's a big minion wave he's actually tanking right now. They need to be careful. Ninja's still coming up.
Cocoon doesn't quite land yet. Bjergsen flashes in for it, not going to get the kill. Seraph, does take out Svenskeren, but Bjergsen now level 6. Lyra instantly backs out of the way, but Ninja is there just in case.
That was so big for Envy. The fact that Lyra's in there to counter gank, knowing they're going to continue to focus on this top side, that actually ends up with Seraph getting a couple kills there. And Seraph is actually going to be up on gold over Haunter after this.
Yeah, evens it up. Doesn't quite give him the lead overall, but we'll watch this one again. I mean, Haunter just didn't know he was in there.
No, of course not. And Elise is coming in, but this is a pretty big wave already working on them. Haunter has taken so much early damage. He would have needed to actually flash Elise in Q or something like that to have a chance of that being very impactful. Still, they want to stick around. They want to try to corral some of these kills, but look at all the damage Svenskeren's even just taking from this massive minion wave, and that's very impactful in these early game fights. Thankfully for Bjergsen, he both gets a kill and proc 6, because without that, he would have probably died too.
Yeah, Ninja coming up. Nice follow there from Envy's mid laner, but now 3-2 in favor of TSM as far as those kills goes. Envy answer back well and get some of that gold back in. TSM still up a pretty substantial amount of gold, but Envy kind of got Seraph back to parity, which after that first dive, you think this lane's completely over.
Yeah, that was really important for him to do. Camille can really take over a lane so easily from those kind of points because you have such far engage range. You can lock them in with your ultimate. Your dueling potential is very high. When you get ahead, you simply outstat them and just kill them.
Well, you can see Haunter still back in the lane. Got a healthy CS lead, so Seraph have to play back and continue to catch up.
Yeah, a lot of this is going to be evened out as long as he does not get dove. So TSM is actually looking to set up a dive as the minion wave crashes, because there is a solid 15 plus minions that he's going to pick up here, but they're going to try to kill him. And if Lyra is not here in time, it could be devastating, but Lyra is moving up, so is Ninja. TSM may have to call this off.
Yeah, Ninja actually already caught Bjergsen, Thundering Blow back. Good equalizer there from Seraph. Bjergsen gets himself over the wall, but Sven not going to be so lucky. Repels back down, trying to make something happen, but Sven's going to get caught out and killed. Ninja grabbing one for himself.
Yeah, good rotation there from Hakuo. That is pretty telegraphed from TSM. I feel like they're over-forcing on top side. I mean, you can see that kind of a dive setup coming from a mile away. You know you have to protect your top laner as a massive wave like that crashes in. And yes, Seraph loses a little bit of it to try to come over and help, but still, they get the kill, and he's able to pick up the majority and at least stay relevant XP-wise.
We'll see if TSM's duo lane can maybe pressure a little more. Apollo going to have to fight on his own for a little while longer as Hakuho now finally getting his way back down. Seraph does pick up a big chunk of minions, though still behind, but should be able to take these and again continue to even out the lane. And that was just smart from Envy. I mean, TSM, they want to use the talent to try and roam, but like you said, very telegraphed and punished well as Bjergsen's going to go back in. No, not quite. Not time for another item. In fact, Ninja with double buffs is kind of an issue for the next few minutes.
It's going to make laning a lot harder for sure. Bjergsen has done well, though, as far as the lane goes. I mean, he has made multiple roams and is actually basically dead even in CS, so everything looking good for the mid lane there for TSM. Ninja has a tiny experience advantage. He was like, 20% up, couple mains, whatever. But really, it's a nothing deal. And we're in a very even game at this point. I mean, the gold lead is there for TSM, but I certainly don't think it's enough that it really impacts the fights too much.
No, and it's really just that farm differential. Haunts are up 20, Turtle also up about the same.
And to me, the biggest thing is actually not even the farm, it's the XP between Lyra and Sven Skaren. So Sven has gotten some stuff done, but he's actually 2 levels down on the enemy Lee Sin now. So gold lead or not, you run into that Lee Sin, you're going to be in trouble.
Oh, this happens and you get tagged by Braum. Passive. Repel doesn't really have anywhere good to go. There's the ulti out from Hakuo, gets all 3 of them almost, and Sven Skaren going to get blown up by Apollo. Shield's going to block the ult from Turtle as well. Really nice pick from Envy.
Yeah, they're doing very well. I mean, Lyra is tracking Sven Skaren across the map. They get the summoner, they get the kill again, and Lyra is just going to get even more ahead in the XP, and that is so big because you get so many stats out of these levels that the gold is not even the biggest of deals. It's the skill ups and it's the base stats increasing as you level up.
Yeah, Lyra's only about 600 gold up, which is not representative at all of the total lead he has on Sven Skaren. Turtle and Bifrost, though, just going to clean this wave out, try and reset the situation. I mean, Turtle is doing really well for himself. He's got the tier, that's stacking up nicely. He's got the early sheen, so the pressure is here, and you can see this bottom lane turret's actually pretty low. But TSM going to have to either play back a little more and not find themselves in so many aggressive positions, or be a little bit cleaner on their execution. Because we know Envy, they're just going to continue to hammer away and try and find advantages. So TSM kind of have a point now where they need to make a decision. Do we want to match you in aggression, or do we want to play a bit more defensively?
If I'm TSM, I honestly feel like playing a little bit more defensively, playing a little bit more measured is the more intelligent approach, simply because Envy is a good team mechanically. They're a good team early. Where they struggle is later in the game. They can't match up macro-wise, but Lyra is here looking for that kick in on Turtle.
Kicks Turtle back in, should be a stun landing in. Lyra gets a kill for himself as Apollo going to slow down Bifrost with a minefield. Hakuo tagged him, that's a flash force, and Lyra just missing that Q. He would have gone straight in for it.
I mean, oh, now comes Bjergsen. He's looking to clean up here. Apollo very low.
Right,
does have heal.
Yeah, he's got his ultimate. Good tag though. Apollo is going to go down. Bjergsen wants to flash up, but he gets stunned on the other side. Lyra should be able to play cleanup. Kill goes over and he gets a second.
Not worth it for Bjergsen. Blows both his summoners, uses his ultimate, and dies while mid lane is being pushed in. And Sven Skaren dies mid lane again. Sven Skaren is having a horrible game.
I mean, he's 2 levels down on Ninja as well, so he's trying to cover mid lane, gets himself killed by Jace instead.
He's 3 levels down on Ninja now. I mean, that is starting to look a little bit ugly for TSM. It just feels like they're over-forcing. They're trying to make these things happen when the setups are not there, and their bot lane lead is gone now with the kill over on Apollo. Top lane is equalizing a bit, Ninja's head, and Lyra is just crushing this game.
Yeah, it's actually 1,000 gold up, so watch this one again. Lyra, pretty clean start to this.
Yeah, I mean, he just outwaits Turtle, basically. Waits for the exhaust to finish, waits for Turtle to flash, knowing he will have to, and then it's an easy follow-up for the kick flash there from Lyra. And Bjergsen coming down, he was always going to be able to get the kill on Apollo, but the question was, how do you then get out? And the fact that he blows both summoners and dies is pretty devastating, and at the meantime, I mean, I don't even really know how that started out. Maybe Ninja was waiting the bush and Sven face checked him, but definitely should not be trying to fight up against that Jace.
No, didn't work out for the Elise. I mean, TSM 7-4 now. Envy actually up in kills and gold. They actually got 1,000 gold, which is what
good.
TSM started off with after that botch dive from Envy in the top lane.
And we did get confirmation it was Sven actually face-checking Ninja, who was anticipating the jungler coming down to bot side. So a well-laid trap from Ninja, and he is rewarded.
Yep, another kill in the column for Sven Skaren. 4 kills.
Also, something worth pointing out that you pretty much never see these days is this is actually a tier Jace. So he's going for more poke style. He's actually going less towards the power early in the game with a Ghost Blade or a Black Cleaver or whatever right off the bat. And he's going for more of a scaling build and still doing well.
Well, we'll see if Ninja can keep it going because he's looking good so far. TSM back to their old tricks in bottom lane as Sven and Bjergsen trying to team up for a play. Again, that turret's looking like a pretty good objective for them to take, but need to kind of confirm a kill and then be able to get the objective. Instead, they'll fall back, get vision around this Drake area, and maybe consider that as their next step.
Yeah, they certainly are close to getting that turret, but if you try to force it too quick, one bad fight down there where Ziggs lives, he will take down your turret pretty much from full very, very quickly. So they're looking to fight here in the mid.
Hakuho actually getting himself locked up, but he's tanking a decent amount of damage. Looking after Bifrost does get him. Ulti dodged out there by Sven Skaren. Ziggs not going to get any kills just yet. Hakuho leaps out of the way, but Turtle assassinates him. Apollo in the meantime did kill Sven, but here's Bjerg and
Haunter TP down. Seraph does not have his TP for another second or so. Will he join in? It's up now, it looks like.
Barely gets on top of that. Doesn't quite stun Apollo, but he'll issue the ultimatum instead. Does get exhausted, and I think he's going to get killed here. Apollo
They just
should live to
abandoned
it.
him.
Lyra managed to get that kill. Bjergsen goes down as well to Ninja. Envy clean up the back end.
What is happening with TSM? It seems like they're completely not on the same page here. Haunter committing to an all-in there as the rest of his team backs off. Envy gets a 4 for 0, pushing top side, pushing bot side. They'll likely get 2, if not 3 turrets here pretty soon, as mid lane turret is very low as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja can take that down, but watch this one again. I mean, Hakuho looks like he's caught here to start the play.
But Lyra, as always, is there. He's in position, and they opt into this fight, even though Lyra is very strong. And Hakuho, they're focusing this Braum, but he takes so long to get actually taken out. Apollo is able to move up here. Turtle's pushed out of the fight. And then this is kind of where I start to question it. I mean, I don't think TSM should be looking for this fight. They could just run up straight through River, probably retreat. Instead, Haunter decides to go in as Wild Turtle is bailing out on the fight, essentially. Bjergsen is like, oh, I don't know that I really want to go in there either. So he tries to come in a little bit late and help out. And it just does not feel like this is a coordinated TSM. They're not looking like they're on the same page.
Yeah, looking certainly rough. And Envy's early game looking amazing, actually. They're 5,000 gold up.
Yeah, they got they got 2 of the turrets. They didn't get the 3rd one on the bot. But still, you know, anytime you give Ziggs, he'll be knocking on that door. And so much effort from Sven Skaren to put these solo lanes ahead. They are both pretty far behind now.
All right, well, another trap being set for the top lane. Haunter and Seraph already starting out a fight. Bjergsen is here. Flash from Seraph. Lyra gonna try and get in there. Zonish from Seraph buys a bit of time. Can't quite save him. Equalizer down. They might look for a trade. Ninja finds his way up again and takes down Camille. And now Bjergsen gonna get taken down. Ninja grabs the double. Bjergsen does get the other kill, but Ninja is so speedy with the Storm Raiders, and Sven just gets out of the way.
5-0-1 on Ninja now. Level 12 on this guy. He can push up top lane as well. Getting very, very scary here for TSM as they're just continuously forcing this fight. This one, at least for them, goes pretty even. But still more power being funneled into this Jace that is already getting so strong. And, you know, Seraph, he decides to flash because he has the Zhonya's. I think if he does not have Zhonya's here, he just accepts his death. Instead, he gets the Zhonya's. The fact that he gets his Equalizer down allows them to go into this 2v3 because there's so much chip damage already put down. And Bjergsen able to trade a kill back, but Ninja's way too strong for them to actually stay around and fight.
Yeah, that was an unempowered Q on Sven that took about 30% of his health.
Yeah, that's scary.
Black Cleaver done now as well for Ninja, so he does have a second item built up already. And this is kind of the nice part about this comp. I mean, Apollo with a good amount of poke on a Wild Turtle. I mean, if Envy were looking to get ahead using their top 3, which is how we've seen them get ahead in a lot of their games. I mean, Lyra's presence has been amazing all game, but I almost like that there's a Ziggs here to help Envy continue to snowball the game once they've got a lead, because they're really good at getting leads, but we know they struggle in the mid-game. Ziggs patches up a lot of that, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart. I mean, it's essentially giving them a very clear win condition, to your point. Hey, what do? We siege. Jace hits him with a Shock Blast. You know, Apollo's sieging the turret. He pokes them out. If you actually land a good shot blast on someone, you have Equalizer plus the Ziggs ult to follow up. So there's very clear ways to play the game for Envy, and they are making it look so good in this early game.
Yep, they'll take the Cloud Drake as an afterthought as well. After getting that bottom turret, Ziggs finally able to siege that one down. So Envy continuing to react well to TSM's aggression and then also force plays when they feel like. I mean, now Envy are back on the offensive. Haunter has a long way to go to try and get out of this one. Seraph commits the ultimate. Good Zhonya's. I did not know the interaction worked that way.
It actually took the cooldown too.
That feels bad.
He just straight immuned it.
Oh, now Ninja actually looking for a 1v2 play. Already a kill there for Elise. Turn to take down Lyra. But Ninja is just insanely strong.
These guys have families. He's just, I mean, he sees the jungler at the blue buff. He's like, yeah, I'll blast going on to him. He's just running straight in. This is like a solo queue game at this point where Ninja is just going off and he's just going to walk around the map killing everybody.
Yeah, Sarah pressuring topside as well. Ninja and Hakuho don't want to join, but they might catch TSM trying to rotate up to save the turret instead. They're actually dipping back towards mid, but Seraph not going to stick around for too long. Envy don't quite convert off those kills, but again, continuing to stack advantages for themselves. Now 6,500 gold ahead.
TP coming in from Haunter. Seraph, whoa, Bjergsen kind of backed off for a second there.
Here's round 2, stun there from Haunter after the hook shot. Bjergsen leaps over the wall. Should be enough damage here for Seraph. Zhonya's not up for a little while longer. Ninja maybe going to turn it back around. Haunter though does get the kill, and Hakuho didn't want to use the ulti there.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja, as soon as he gets exhausted, he takes a step back, and that is very smart. As strong as he is, he's not strong enough to 1v3 through that exhaust. But at the same time, Apollo's pushing in the bot lane. There's a lot committed to get that kill on Seraph on the top lane. That's the TP down, so TP advantage goes over to Envy. You can see with the Sheen completed especially, Apollo really going to be chunking down this turret. And Ninja here means it's under threat of just going down immediately.
Yeah, they just need to get it low enough. It is actually enraged to detonate now. Don't think Apollo got the charge down, so going to have to wait.
Yeah, and Lyra's going to come up to support them to actually allow them to go aggressively and push this off because he knows TSM wants to keep this turret alive. But with the strength of Lyra and Ninja here, it's very difficult for TSM to actually make a play around the bot side right now.
Yeah, I mean, Total and Bifrost have to play far back to their turret to not get themselves poked down or just straight up killed if Lyra or Ninja can find a way in. I mean, even sticking around now is a little dangerous from TSM.
It really is, and at this point, with multiple members showing from TSM, they could actually just straight up go for a dive. They get that turret, and they will probably just head right back to mid lane and start pushing on that tier 2. They're just looking to go around, clean up as much gold as they can, and get a monumental advantage before they start to really force down the inner turrets.
Yep, Seraph actually starting that off, which is why he was absent for the top lane turret that Haunter was able to get over for TSM. It's actually their first turret of the game, so you can see just how far behind they're having to play back from at this stage. The rest of the team will exit together. It looks like they're setting a trap here in the tri-bush, potentially. Going to move through this blue side jungle of Envy and see if they can't spot somebody out.
Mana is going to be pretty close here for Ninja 2, which is going to be even more power going this way. He's very close to actually having that fully stacked, and because he got that early, I mean, this is not a guy that is super blue buff dependent now. He's going to be able to poke people out, look for the siege, and oh, look at that early poke. They want to fight here.
Really nice.
Equalizer is available.
Yeah, Seraph can look for this here. Hakuho also trying to tie some people up. Bifrost is here. The Equalizer doesn't quite cut them off. Bjergsen, we're going to slay Apollo, but he actually might have gone a little too deep. Ninja poking off to the side. Can it close the distance here? I mean, Ninja is so strong. Who's he looking for? He's going to go for Haunter. Ultimatum already down, but Haunter now trapped in his own ultimate. He's going to go down to the godlike Ninja.
He's just so strong. They really can just run around the map, fight wherever they want, but TSM is doing this smart play now. You avoid them. You try to take turrets wherever they are not. So TSM gonna grab another turret here. At the same time, Envy is pushing up. Bjergsen should be able to just hop over the walls and get out.
Yep, poke there is nice from Ninja, but Bjergsen has plenty of walls to go over. Lyra chasing him down as well, but Bjergsen should be able to get out of this. Ooh, Lyra actually maybe cut him off. Bjergsen, one more wall. Lyra's gonna say, yep, I can still follow you. Does get the spell shield off there with the Tempest. Really nice stuff from Lyra. Now exhaust down. Hakuho is here as well. Kick in Lyra. Looking for the outplay, and Hakuho seals it.
That was very close there. A brave fight against Bjergsen, but without the ultimate, not much more he could have done. They're pushing down mid lane now. Ninja, it's just, there's no one he sees that he doesn't want to try to kill.
And you said this already, there's no true tank on TSM in this draft. Neither team have anyone that can really withstand a lot of damage. So when Ninja is as far ahead as he is now, working swiftly towards that third damage item, Jace is already strong in the early mid stages of the game. Like, there is no one to absorb this poke from Ninja.
I mean, where's the armor, right? Like, it's the only armor at all is Ninja Tabbies for Bjergsen. That's it.
I found it.
So that is so tough. If he hits anyone, very easy to layer the Equalizer, the Ziggs ulti down. What we didn't see in that last top lane fight from Envy was how the Braum ult and the Equalizer are kind of supposed to be used in conjunction. If you hit the Braum ult, very easy to layer the Equalizer on, and they're knocked up and they're slowed inside it. So that's what we want to see in the team fights.
You can see Apollo has now finished his Lich Bane, so Siege mode should be well and truly online now for Envy. Got a backup blasting one as well for IC.
Monster is far down there.
Yeah, onto Hakuo, but he's already been tagged. Equalizer's real nice. Hakuo actually taking a little too much, but he lived through the rest of the burst. Apollo just takes out Haunter and Sarah kills Bjergsen.
Yeah, that's both the solo laners down now for TSM as they are just getting smacked around the map here now, falling so far behind. And Envy's just going to push straight up mid.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Envy aren't even close to done at this point as far as their mid-game power goes. I mean, gold lead's still ballooning. They're 8,000 gold ahead now, and TSM have only lost 5 turrets. I mean, that's a lot, but there is so much more for Envy to take.
And while they are, you know, a team with a lot of mid-game power, Ziggs does not fall off. Rumble does not really fall off. These guys continue to get stronger and stronger throughout the game. So it's certainly not even a team composition where they must win right now. And it really does feel like TSM is out of sorts. I mean, why are both Haunter and Bjergsen even down here pushing the wave together? Even the lane assignments feel a little bit out of whack. You know, if anything, this should be Haunter pushing bot lane, Bjergsen pushing top lane, trying to avoid Envy and create pressure around the turrets.
You see Bjergsen there looking a little puzzled, which is not a look we usually see on the star mid laner's face. TSM, I mean, they knew Envy were going to come out swinging, but I don't think they quite expected this.
No. It does feel a little bit like Bjergsen is under some pressure to make plays because he's on the Talon. He's not on something like Cassio or Ori where he feels like, hey, you know what, chill out. I'm going to farm to 6 items. I'm going to carry late game team fights. He feels the pressure to be making plays, and it's not panning out.
Not yet, at least. TSM got a big hole to climb out of. Envy, also under the replay, did pick up the Ocean Drake. So if they wanted to get Siege mode on at any time, going to be even better now with the extra regeneration. It's good with and against the poke that Envy do have, so they'll be happy to take that. And the thing I like about Envy right now, especially because they're a team that we have criticized, particularly in map movements around the mid to late game, is they're not panicking. They're actually just playing very calm, knowing they're ahead, going to their lanes, and just kind of doing things as you should be doing them, and not pressuring themselves to try and end the game unnecessarily early. They know they're ahead, they just need to stay ahead and slowly end the game.
Yeah, they're taking the advantages wherever they can get them, and they do have very clear win conditions. But that said, you know, they are massively ahead, and I think can push the pace a little bit more. You know, you can try to knock down any of the remaining outers, like the mid tier 2, I think really should be a target for them. Get the last of the easy gold, and then look towards Baron, get Vision, or Siege Inhibitor.
Well, plenty of options open. That's kind of what happens when you're 8,000 gold ahead. Apollo busy with the top lane, level 14, so not quite there on the rank 3 ultimate for Ziggs, but shouldn't be too far away. Looks like they're going to get this lane going. I mean, right now, Envy can comfortably pressure 3 lanes. Not quite sure when Ninja is. Was looking for Haunter again, I think, but instead going to go back to mid lane, get that started, and at some point, Envy are either going to keep sieging mid, find a pick, or break down Baron. They've got pretty much complete control vision-wise as well.
Yeah, they want to make sure that they really do have a full grasp on vision around the Baron and in TSM's jungle. They have Baron vision controlled, but they don't have TSM's jungle actually controlled yet. And that's the next step. You need to get the vision in there, then pick people off who either are coming to face check, or if they have no vision at all, then you can rush down the Baron. Because the last thing Envy needs at this point with this big of a lead is a 50-50 Baron.
Yep, credit to TSM for strong defensive vision on the correct side of the map there. Making sure they keep their jungle on lock, but Envy now going to group together. That's one of the 3 pink wards they had. You can see the second there above Svenskeren, and there's one just about where Bifrost is recalling on your minimap. So one down, TSM going to have to replace those. And Lyra, again, very quickly moving between sections of the map, just pressuring any of TSM sideliners, because you do not want to give free farm over if you can help it. So Haunter has to be always thinking in the back of his head, is someone coming here to gank me again? Or maybe Seraph just all in me and I'll die, because Seraph's also got strength as well.
Yep, definitely have to give that respect over. And something that Envy has done, because there is such a heavy AD component to TSM's comp, is look at all the ninja heavies that they're stacking. There's actually all across the board here. The only one without them is Apollo. And there's even, you know, Zhonya's. They're getting little bits of armor here and there, and Lyra is already building into that. Because Svenskeren, he's the AP threat, but he was put very far behind. So he's not really someone that you need to itemize towards at this point in the game.
Certainly not. There's Apollo actually going for a death cap, not a void stuff. So looking to just really juice up the AP. I mean, given how far ahead he is, can't really blame him for the build.
Plus, who has MR, right? You know, Void Staff, I think, makes a lot of sense if someone is building MR, but at this point, no one really is. So get more damage for the turrets, get more damage for that backline, and will Envy, they're going to back out.
Good E there from Hakuo. I mean, one of the tough things for TSM is even when they can try and find a pick, Braum is actually stopping a lot of this damage. As Hansa did get a turret in the bottom side. Envy, starting to play a little sloppier now. They could certainly be pressing this lead a little more, but feels like they don't want to give it away unnecessarily. At some point, they need to take a risk. It won't be a big one, given how far ahead they are, but certainly trying to do all of their homework and really prep things up. And at some point, I think they'll realize that, you know what, we can just start this Baron and force TSM to come to us, or start a siege, or just do something instead of, you know, hoping TSM walk into.
And that obvious something is clear out all the vision, right? Get more pinks. Place the pinks in TSM's topside jungle. Move in as 5 so they can't even come in on you, even if you are face checking. And now the Baron has been spotted, but Apollo is zoning them out. I don't think they have enough damage to actually rush this down, but with that damage...
Good pick
the
from
shock
Ninja.
blast.
And now the jungler is dead. That should be Baron over to Envy. They might take a lot of damage doing it, but Haunter can join. Ulti there from Red Bull's not going to get close. And Hakuo there as well. So Smite's going to go down. That's going to be Baron over to Envy, and looks a little messy, but they get it cleanly there. Nice pick on his Sven, ensures they get the buff.
Yeah, they did not have full vision control, but Apollo able to land so much damage. And that in conjunction with the Ziggs ult, you can see the long-range potential of this combination, and even Equalizer layered on top of that. So now, with Baron, the siege should be on for Envy here. Look for them to try to break the base with this buff. I really think with this gold lead and the Baron buff, you really have to break the base.
Yeah, it looks like it's close to lights out for TSM. Envy just have to deliver one final blow. Seraph going to get things started here in the bottom lane. He's kind of been hanging out for a little while, collecting gold.
Now, even if you can't end the game, getting an inhibitor with this Baron is so key because it means they're always going to have to respond to that. And then you can pressure the other inhibitors and really start to crack it open because at this point, Lichbane death cap on Ziggs and
Good
Apollo.
pick onto Apollo, but Ninja trying to answer back. He got exhausted. He's 1v3 right now as Hakuo going to try and save him. Rest of Envy looking to respond. They can fight this out. It's only 4v4 right now. TSM just on the retreat. But Lira tags Biofrost, and now he's after Turtle. Flashes in, tags him with the red buff, but Turtle flashes over the red wall. Ninja, he's got the damage to do it if he can find a pick. Straight onto Biofrost, hammers him down. And that's a trade. As Svenskeren now getting dove. Might not be a trade after all. Seraph going to get the next one.
TSM pick up a kill on Apollo, but Envy are happy to take the 4v5 as a lot was expended, and they're just so strong. Even without proper execution, I mean, the Braum ult whiffed on everyone. The Equalizer was not great, but it just doesn't matter. They're so strong, they will crack the inhibitor.
They've got a strong lead, and they can afford to make a few hiccups here and there. Bottom inhibitor tower going down. The inhibitor will fall quickly after it. And this is kind of the positioning we're talking about. Baron usually either ends the game or puts you in a game-winning position. That's where Envy are now, breaking open that section of the map.
Especially with Apollo back on the map, he can come back up here. There's still almost half the time left on the Baron. They could very easily look for a second inhibitor here.
Maybe even do it the easy way, take all 3. There's a Drake up as well, so Envy have a lot of things they can take off the map here if they want to extend that lead. Looks like they're going to get some maybe last buys in here. As we'll watch this one again. I mean, Apollo does get himself picked here.
Yeah, he does get picked off, but a lot is committed. I mean, it's Bjergsen's ult, it's Haunter's flash ult, even Wild Turtle kind of really running in there very far. And this was not a great ult from Hakuo. The Equalizer got some damage down, but Envy is so strong. With the major cooldowns down on TSM, they can pile in and chase this, knowing that there's not much chance of a big turnaround. And Ninja has just played such a great game for himself. 9-0-4, really taking over.
Yeah, I mean, huge CS lead as well. He's just kind of broken open every fight that Envy have had since about 5 minutes into the game.
So they're looking for a flank. They want to just keep trying to fight. They know they can't let this stall out in Siege, so TSM is trying to play to win, not play to not lose, which generally just means stall out and slowly bleed the game.
Envy though, doing the right thing, sweeping through the jungle, making sure they get vision down, and it looks like top lane is going to be their next point of attack. They only have 25 seconds of Baron left, so it won't make it in time to try and siege up the turrets. Nice from TSM to delay the game at least and only lose 1 inhibitor off this Baron, but that doesn't mean Envy's pressure is going to really let up. As they did manage to take that second Cloud Drake. They'll have Elder on the table once that spawns as the next major objective. Baron will come back up as well, and TSM is still woefully behind in overall resources.
Yeah, and the bot wave is massive, right? Like, this wave is huge. TSM are just looking for an engage, but if this does not go quickly for them, these super minions are very quickly going to get to the Nexus turrets.
Oh,
Envy just
huge
has to
ultimate
delay.
from Apollo. 4 members of TSM already chunked down. Redemption shouldn't be enough to save them here as Bifrost will be the first casualty. Sven is going to join shortly after from Apollo's auto attack, and Lyra looking to continue down. He does ride the queue all the way in. Poor Turtle's going to get himself taken down by Lyra, and that's 3 clean ones for Envy.
And I think that's the game. Envy's just going to walk it down. They have this huge wave here. They should be able to take down TSM, and they sure played the early game well.
Certainly did. Pressure looks like too much. TSM maybe force the issue too hard, but Envy answer back twofold and take down TSM's Nexus in our first game. They had a plan. They always play the same way, and they made it look awfully good then.
I know. I mean, I guess we get good enough lead in the early game. The late game does not have to be played perfectly. Envy really, I like the draft a lot. They clearly had a plan. They were able to execute it very well, but I think so much of the credit of this game, even though it was Ninja who ended up 10-0-5, has to go to Lyra.
Yep.
I think Lyra was just insane in this game. He was everywhere. He was involved in all the early kills. He was just reading Svenskeren like a book, gets a couple levels up, always there for the counter gank. This guy turned around what looked like such a bad start for Envy into a dominating game.
Yeah, and we're actually going to break the game down here, so we'll have a bit of a chance to talk more about it now, but on your early point, I mean, I agree on Lyra, was just covering Svenskeren at every point. Sven's a really high-pressure jungler that can just smother you out of a game if you put yourself in a dumb spot. I mean, at some point in the early game, there were 4 deaths on TSM side, and they all belong to Svenskeren. Ouch. He had the worst early game at 15 I think he's had all season long. So pretty interesting stuff, but all of it did really start around the top lane. So let's have a look at what was happening in that early top lane section. I mean, that early dive from Envy, this was no bueno.
This was awful. I mean, this was seriously just awful. I don't know what they're really thinking here. Not even close to getting a kill. They blow their own flash, lose that. Then TSM is able to come up top, kill Seraph again, and it looked like TSM was just going to be off to an Uzi game, but it really came down to the fact that Lyra was able to get back up to top lane and turn around a counter gank, and this was the one. Haunter thinks that he is baiting in Seraph, but it was actually Lyra already in position in the bush, and Svenskeren is going to get there so much later that this fight really makes it so Seraph is not just screwed in top lane. He's able to pick up a couple kills, get right back into it, and after this, it felt like the rest of the game was all Lyra, and Svenskeren couldn't get anything done.
Yeah, Ninja also following up as well. You can see Sven. I mean, even Sven overextending here. TSM just played pretty greedy, I'll say, in this early game, and Envy were able to punish effectively. And once they had a lead, they carried it very well. I mean, Bjergsen does get himself away here with the ultimate, but I mean, this continued to cause problems because Sven, he's at it again. Seraph thinks he's in trouble, and Envy react well.
Yep, Lyra back up the top lane already. Ninja roaming, Hawkwo coming up. They're able to turn this around. TSM played a very one-dimensional game early, just non-stop piling all 3 members into the top lane, and Envy was able to read it and react to it very well. It felt to me the biggest thing was that TSM was overforcing. You know, especially Bjergsen on the Talon did not look super comfortable. He played lane well. He had some good early roams, but it did feel like he wasn't comfortable being behind against Envy. It felt, or even it felt like he was feeling the pressure to really get something done.
All right, so Envy. A wrinkle or two in the start of the early game. TSM may be too aggressive, and Envy capitalize well. They surge through the early game. They get to a strong mid game. How do we think about how they close the game? Because that's often where we grade Envy and think things are looking still a little shaky. I think they looked relatively clean, but maybe too hesitant given how far ahead they were.
Yeah, I think that they could have done a better job controlling vision in TSM's jungle. That is kind of where I give them the biggest knocks, because that makes taking the Baron so much safer and so much easier when you do get the full vision control up in there and they can't even check in at all. That said, they at least were willing to force the Baron, make TSM come to them, and they turned, they get the kills, then they finish off the Baron. So I think they executed quite well, but they had an enormous lead, right?
Yeah.
You know, how does it look when you're 2K ahead?
Well, I guess we'll find out next game because we are going to step away for a quick break, but stick around to see if TSM can pick up the pieces in game 2 or if Envy will close out the series in the upset. Stay with us. You're watching the North American LCS.
Oh,
Just like he did to you.
Seraph. Oh, I couldn't even hear what he was saying.
Oh, what? Wait, you didn't hear mic changed?
No, I just didn't understand what Bjerg was saying. Like, usually I just ignore him.
Yep.
Does get the passive up there, stuns on a Seraph. Big play from Haunter. Might even be a kill in his first blood to the top lane. I think he's going to get killed here. Apollo tripped into it. Lyra managed to get the kill. Bjergsen goes down as well to Ninja. Envy clean up the back end.
Come here. Equalizer. Come here, no flash maybe.
I'm fine.
Nice.
Oh,
Envy
huge
has to
ultimate
delay.
from Apollo. 4 members of TSM already chunked down Redemption. Shouldn't be enough to save them here as Biofrost will be the first casualty. Sven is going to join shortly after from Apollo's auto attack, and Lyra looking to continue down. He does ride the Q all the way in. Poor Turtle's going to get himself taken down by Lyra.